Mech pilots, online. BattleTech manuals, online. Long-term memory, offline. All systems bungled.
In our 41st deployment of BungleTech, my stalwart spheroid partner in tactical misadventure and I break down our latest BattleTech game played in a speed BattleTech format. And because reputation demands it, we wrap up by asking the eternal question of all commanding bunglers. Which rules did we mess up this time? Strap in, MechWarriors. A speedy misadventure is inbound, and the dropship doors are already opening.
Bonus objective. Extraordinary proclamation. Initiating.
Before we start today's episode, a quick shout out. Are you free this May 29th to 31st? Are you a BattleTech fan? Can you get down to Birmingham, England? If you answered yes to all three, consider checking out the UK Games Expo this May 29th to 31st. There's loads of BattleTech action going on, with great prizes as well as some super secret reveals and first looks. Epic events include the official UK Open competition, Alpha Strike tourneys, classic BattleTech tourneys, community meetups and demo games, painting masterclasses with camo specs online, and the opportunity to roll dice with BattleTech legends. Check it out, MechWarriors. Link in the show description.
This is Professor Michael presenting Unsolved Mysteries of the Sphere. The enigmatic JR-7-31 Rattlesnake. Was it an urban legend, a Fed-Sun superweapon, an MIIO psyop, or something in between? Today we are going to look at the eyewitness reports of this legendary BattleTech. Review battle logs of engagements with this ambush killer. Talk to pilots who claim to have come face to face with this Capellan nightmare, and sift through newly unredacted documents about the history of Project Trapdoor. Said to have been rebuilt from the inside out, the Rattlesnake was designed to be equal parts battle mech and terror weapon. By keeping its shape and emissions the same as a standard JR-7, the Rattlesnake could ambush unsuspecting targets with its 7+ medium lasers, making short work of unsuspecting mechs twice its size, before bolting away at over 120 kilometers per hour. When these Vipers first hit the battlefield, the Combine must have thought there was a snake in their boot, as reports started coming in of Davian's Jenners sinking their fangs into much bigger mechs, and a venom of uncertainty began to spread through Draconis commanders. Just how many of these snakes were waiting in the marsh grasses, and could they find the mech's telltale rattle before it struck again? Today we are going to be looking at questions that have left mech spotters and military intelligence mystified for decades. Who was Gideon Wozniak? What records were really lost during the fire at Phoenix Industries' Ashcombe headquarters? Where is Dr. Robert Madsen and his family? When did Project Trapdoor really end? Why was a rattlesnake spotted on Clovis attacking Fed-Sun patrols? And most importantly, how could one Jenner fit so many medium lasers? Join me as we explore an unsolved mystery of the Sphere.
Tertiary objective. Battlefield outcome report segment. Initiating.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to BungleTech, a BattleTech podcast, episode 41. I'm once again joined by the luscious Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Nathan.
How's it going, man?
That's going.
It is as well going here. As you've noticed, listeners, we are in the Battlefield Outcome Report segment. Michael and I are here to discuss a game we recently played in which we smashed our wills against each other in the form of miniature plastic mechs. In the game of BattleTech! Pause for dramatic
Yeah,
effect.
no, we put mechs down and moved mechs around, which I'm sort of embarrassed to say we don't do as much as we used to.
Yes, we've committed to returning ourselves to sanity now that we've escaped the tyranny inflicted upon me by Michael due to the Global Campaign Initiative, which was completely his idea, and he forced it upon me. And now that we've escaped that, Michael's has decided to grace me with his presence on the table because he has dropped the whips he was using to hit me with to motivate me to keep going in the GCI.
Yeah, it was hard, but eventually Nathan said, "No more. Please stop hitting me, Michael. I just want to play BattleTech."
Yeah, and I like
love
getting
a
hits.
simple game of BattleTech.
Exactly. The hitting gave me great pleasure for a long time, but eventually, my nerves numbed a bit, and I needed to roll some dice again. So Michael and I were pit against each other, and we decided to do some fun stuff that we've always wanted to try. Let's break down the format of the battle for our diligent listeners, Michael.
Well, to start with, I'm going to say, Nathan was desperate because we played a regular death match. So I'm pretty sure I've heard Nathan say at least a couple times on the podcast that regular death matches are the worst possible way to play BattleTech. So that's how desperate we were.
They're the second worst.
The second worst. Sorry. What's the worst?
Grinders.
All right. We didn't go that far.
Grinders.
A 2-person grinder would have been a little bit sad.
Not as sad as a 1-person grinder. But yes, indeed, it wouldn't have been as fun. All right, so we did a few fun things. I've always really wanted to play Speed BattleTech. I heard about this a long time ago. I think actually on the Renegade HPG podcast. And specifically, this is playing BattleTech really quick. I believe when I originally heard it, it was you have 10 seconds to move your mech. So what we did instead is we gave ourselves 20 seconds because it was our first time trying this. So we had a timer, and when it was your turn and you had to move your mech, you had to decide which unit to move, and you had to move your mech within 20 seconds. If you did not move the mech within 20 seconds, you would stay in the same spot, and your defensive movement modifier from the previous round would be halved. So we wouldn't just make you stationary. I think that feels a little bit too cruel. But essentially, if you are camping or you're taking too long, there's clearly going to be a negative penalty for you. And that was fun. Yeah. Surprisingly, Michael and I never actually ran out of time. Like, I think we would make our move probably within 15 seconds, but definitely the first person to move and the first mech to move every round was the closest, right?
Yeah.
And then the other person would get time to think, and it made things very, very speedy. And I liked it. I actually liked the stress of it because there were quite a few times where movements were made where I'm like, oh man, I know I could have done that better. I could have done that better. But it added a sense of urgency and organicness to the battle, I feel.
Yeah, I think it's I think that probably some of it was we did give each other like a little bit of leeway, or we'd forget to start the timer for each other, or we weren't sure whether we were starting the timer or the other person was. I think if we had thought ahead of time, which we're not good at, if we had thought ahead of time and gotten like a chess timer app, that would have been good. And then I think we almost certainly would have missed times, because there was just like a little bit of leeway with like resetting the timer and stuff. So we ended up practically getting a bit more than 20 seconds. But even at 20 seconds, it was hard. And yeah, if you were stuck moving first, it sucked even more than usual.
So This was a basic death match, as Michael said. There was no forced withdrawal, a true fight to the death. We had a BV limit of 3,500, which we could spend however we wanted. The map that we fought on was the City Central Park. So it was essentially a central city area, lots of buildings and stuff like that. And then it was attached to a grasslands map. So it was 2 BattleTech maps attached. And we didn't consult with each other, our units. We just built what we wanted to build. And Michael, what was your force like, and why did you decide to bring it?
Well, I brought, I don't know why. I was just like, I open up my little box of mechs, and I pick some mechs that, I'm like, I feel like playing these. The BV wasn't like huge, so I'm like, I'm gonna do two sort of medium mechs. I want to be fairly fast moving. I generally like my inner sphere things. I like jumping being special, so I picked out a Shadowhawk because it had a rotary autocannon. It was the Shadowhawk 5D. And then because I already had a Davian mech when I was thumbing through, and I'm like, I know, I'll bring a Sentinel again. My least favorite mech. Let me bring it again. I also picked the Davian variant, so I brought the Sentinel 4D. And this was a terrible mistake. I have never had a good time with a Sentinel. I bring it, at this point, almost every battle I bring a Sentinel to, and the Sentinel is always garbage. But, I don't know why. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I keep bringing it. Nathan, why do I keep bringing Sentinels to the battlefield?
I think you need to just erase the Sentinel from your heart and replace it with the Valkyrie. And consistently just bring the Valkyrie instead. Because every time you played a Valkyrie, you've been happy. And the Sentinel just keeps on dying for you. It's just an unlucky little guy. It's a nerdy, unlucky little weirdo that, yeah, I don't know. You like to suffer.
Yeah, I do not have any explanations. I bring myself, I have no idea. So anyways, I brought 2 Davian mechs, a sort of like sprinty Sentinel with a rotary autocannon, and then a jumpy cavalry Shadowhawk, also with a rotary autocannon. And that was my plan. Is I'm gonna roll rotary autocannons a lot.
And what were your skill levels of your pilots?
I ended up getting they were a little bit more expensive than I sort of expected. So the Shadowhawk, the Sentinel, I'm like, the Sentinel's going to be shooting things. So I'm going to leave it at the default 4 or 5. And then I had enough. I'm like, the Shadowhawk, it's going to be jumping in. It's going to be karate chopping mechs. It's going to be a 5-3. And that was also not a good decision.
Oh, man. The karate chop. I can understand the temptation.
I did. And you know what? I got fewer melee attacks off than you did.
So you chose primarily, you opened the box and you looked at your mechs.
I looked at my mechs and I picked out ones that I felt like playing.
Yeah.
Shadowhawk's just a fun, well-rounded mech. Sentinel, I don't know. I inherited a cursed Sentinel somehow and I can't not play it. So, that's what I picked.
So my approach was different. I don't even know how I got to my approach, to be honest. But anyhow, I somehow discovered I was using the mechbay.com to look up record sheets, which I love. I love that tool. It's from the Mega Mech guys. And you can print off record sheets. You can do C3 linkages. It's just great. It's a really great tool. I'd really recommend it. Mechbay.com, MEK bay.com. And I somehow discovered that there's a Panther that has a Master C3 computer. And I was like, oh my God, there's a Panther that has a Master C3 computer? I got to do a C3 network. And so I just wanted to play with a Panther with a Master C3 computer because I never regret playing a Panther. He's just a basic little boy that I always have fun playing. Although, you know, it really did suck to not have the SRMs. I did feel that. That they replaced SRMs with the C3 Master. And so then I just found, I found that mech and I'm like, okay, what mechs can I fit into the BV that I would like to play? And, you know, I can't resist a good Jenner. And so it turns out that there's a rattlesnake that has a C3 slave computer. And so I ended up choosing that bad boy. So I just created a little network between my Panther and my rattlesnake and made them both 3-4. My vision was to use the rattlesnake as a spotter and the Panther as a sniper, really leaning on the C3 network. Leaning into that. That didn't happen, unfortunately, but that was my plan. I do not regret these mechs, though. They're both, oh man, you can't go wrong with a Panther. I'm telling you. I think it even looks cool, even though I don't know why it looks cool. It's really cheesy. It's super cheesy. It's like his little Panther head, but I just like him. I just like him, and I think it's from, honestly, I think it's from MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. Because I remember you get a Panther pretty cheap at the beginning, and I'd always give it to my AI pilots, and they would just always like punch above their weight in this mech. And I kept it for so long. So since then, I've loved this little guy, this little kitty, this little furry,
little squirt,
furry MechWarrior. Yeah,
I feel like Panthers are hard to hate.
Yeah, and they're so cost effective too. I don't know.
Yeah.
PPC, basic PPC, so I still had the minimum range, which is fun. He only had, I think he has 11 heat sinks, and so, if I jumped and used my PPC, that was 14, so I'd slowly heat up, and then, so I couldn't constantly fire. Yeah, he's a fun little boy. Yeah, and so the outcome of the battle, it did have stressful moments both ways, but I was blessed by some sort of Greek god at this time because I came out on top. It must have been Athena, because I'm an Athena fan. Athena totally was like, hey, Nathan, you're going to win this battle. The Panther and the Rattlesnake both went internal, but no components were destroyed. They were actually in pretty good shape. It was a pretty good routing. Could have gone either ways. There were some swingy moments in there for sure. But the Panther and the Rattlesnake were a good team, even though the strategy I came in didn't really come to play at all.
Oh, you also when you were describing the game mode, you missed the key, which might have been an obvious assumption to our listeners. But if anyone new is listening, we were doing speed BattleTech with initiative cards.
Oh,
and
yes.
the abilities on the initiative cards.
Oh, so. Yes. And we got to actually, that's funny. Yeah, because that was actually a very big determining factor too, actually. Now I remember. How funny how I forgot that at the time until you mentioned it. I'm a master tactician, Michael.
I remember because I repeatedly, like, my first 3 cards were cancel out your opponent's card, which is the lowest initiative number.
Yeah.
Friggin' Rattlesnake.
7-11-7. That little bugger. Yeah, the Rattlesnake is super good. And losing initiative against the Rattlesnake really sucks. And Michael lost initiative, I think you probably won initiative like 1 out of 4 times. It
was only really bad at the beginning. Like, honestly, things balanced out a lot in the initiative later on, and I did have some good things. It was just early on, like losing initiative, Rattlesnake is behind you. Lose initiative, Rattlesnake is behind you. Lose initiative, Rattlesnake is behind you and kicking you in the head. And I don't know, like it was fun. I wasn't like, I didn't rage at the table, but I think that by the middle of the match I was a little bit like tilted, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta do something crazy. I gotta make something happen. I'm losing armor, I'm way behind. I think I was actually particularly behind, but then I started making miscalculations. I was too focused on the Rattlesnake, which I still couldn't hit because it's a friggin' Rattlesnake. It's jumping around the speed of sound. It's just I started off getting tilted at the rattlesnake, and then I died trying to kill it.
Yeah, and as I recall, actually, you didn't get a single face card for the initiative deck the entire time. I got all the face cards.
I did get, I don't remember if it's a face card, but I did get one of them, that the one that lets you make an attack before the movement phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a mean one. Yeah, but you missed. I think you missed, right?
I hit you. I think that was one of the biggest hits I landed on the Panther.
Whew.
I just don't think it did that much, because, you know, like a rack 5 in maximum auto is a sizable amount of damage, but like it's not that much damage.
I remember I got Dead to Rights, and Dead to Rights is a -3 on all your attack rolls, which is insanely good, obviously. And I managed to jump behind Michael with the rattlesnake, and obviously Alpha Striked, and I think he has 7 medium lasers and 1 small laser. And there were some good hits. But I think across the game, it was pretty consistent. When I was striking with the rattlesnake, I think you were saying, like, even in that situation, about like 4 lasers would always hit. Everything else would miss, but it was like I was consistently like 4 lasers every round, 4 lasers, 4 lasers, 4 lasers. When I could, and obviously because the rattlesnake gets too hot, I had to ease off and back off and run away and stuff like that. I had to keep him cool. But still, like, he did his work. That mech, you can't complain about the rattlesnake, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got just a mean enough sting that it gets in your head of like, I gotta deal with this. But then ironically, I got myself into this like bonkers situation where I wasn't paying attention to the fact that you had a C3 network. And so I'm like, all right, I can't chase down the rattlesnake. I am going to mob the Panther. And then the Panther is just spotting me for the 7 laser base of fire coming from the rattlesnake, which was also bad. So I don't know. It was a weird combo that worked surprisingly well. I'm sure I could have counterplayed it properly, but I didn't. And I don't know. Your team worked surprisingly well together.
Like, I think the C3 network only worked in the rattlesnakes. Like, the rattlesnake only actually ended up using the range advantage twice. But still, that's twice 7 lasers at short range, when it would have been at like long range or whatever. Like, that's really, really slick. So it doesn't take a lot, especially with the amount of BV we put on the table too. Your force did take a big beating though, it felt like you took a lot of hits. And I feel like I was lucky too, because I think, I remember, the shot you had when you blitzkrieged me, you ended up almost destroying my PPC arm on my Panther, the only arm that matters. So like, you'd stripped it to like, if you had one more hit on that arm, anything would have blown it off, wouldn't have PPC anymore, would be completely ineffective for that. So, I mean, that's the price you pay, I guess, for only having one weapon. In the
Which
Panther.
Then I hit mostly the same thing in the Shadowhawk. Once I lost the Rack 5, there wasn't that much left for it to use anymore, because I had an ammo explosion that blew off the Rack 5 and blew off my SRM ammo, and so I was left with like a medium laser to like plink with, one fist to punch with.
But honestly, because of the like armor advantage, I found that you had much more armor than my units did.
Yeah.
And I found that like, because I had been shooting from behind as the rattlesnake, it just came down to a point where it's like, man, there's just no point in attacking from the front. Like, I gotta wait for opportunities to get in his back arc, or else, because he's so fresh on the front, like it's just I'm not gonna be able to go through that.
Yeah.
But that ammo explosion, damn.
I had a couple oopsie doopsies. I don't know, like so basically we were playing in this like mixed, I think it was called like City Central Park or something. So sort of like city on one half and sort of some like light grassland with a couple hills and a little tiny lake on the other. And I started sort of more towards the city. Nathan started more in the park. I started trying to like set up in the city and, use angles and stuff, but the friggin' rattlesnake was behind me all the time. So I ended up just like sprinting into the park to try and chase the panther in the back or the rattlesnake that had jumped behind a hill. And just like you've got limited time to decide. Sentinel doesn't have jump jets, so I've got to do way more math in terms of like, where can I move? Where can I run? Am I going to skid on pavement? Okay, I'll run here. Rattlesnake jumps behind me, kicks the Sentinel in the leg, and the Sentinel falls down. and then by the time the Sentinel's up and ready to like do something, the Rattlesnake's already gone. Panther's taking pot shots. I've gotta charge in there. And then
that happened the first round, didn't it? The first round, your Sentinel fell down.
It was not the first, but I think it was the second. I think the first round, your Rattlesnake jumped 7 hexes and shot my Shadowhawk in the back. And then the second round, your Rattlesnake jumped behind and shot my Sentinel in the back and kicked it over.
I remember when it fell. It was like a big shrug. That's a Sentinel. It's like the destiny fulfilled.
Yeah.
But then, like, once again, he lasted the rest of the battle, right? He came out and he somehow, but I was like, oh, this is the end of him. I thought straight away there, but he somehow pulled it back. He came back, man. Came back with the semi-vengeance.
Yep.
And you emptied all his ammo, didn't you?
Yeah, no, that's the other part is the racks are pretty ammo hungry. So while, I had like comparable damage potential and like way more armor, I could not land hits because my pilots weren't great and your mechs were fast. So I just kept spraying ammo in less than ideal circumstances, because there are no ideal circumstances. The Rattlesnake is never going to be not jumping. And yeah, burned through all of the ammo. Like completely used up all the ammo in the Sentinel. Sort of wish I'd used up the ammo in the Shadowhawk, but it became fireworks instead. So you win some, you lose some.
So what were your impressions of the battle then?
Hey, we haven't covered the most important thing. After my Shadowhawk gets its ammo bin exploded and cased off, my pilot's at like 9+ pilot rolls to stay alive, or stay alive, stay conscious, almost dead, barely conscious. So I'm like, all right, it's just a karate chop machine. I'm never going to be able to karate chop the Rattlesnake. I'm going to karate chop that Panther. And your Panther backs itself around to the corner of the map behind the lake. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to karate chop you with my feet. I'm going to drop kick this friggin' Panther off the map with my Shadowhawk. And I pulled a Nathan. I declared death from above. You took easy pot shots, because as soon as I did that, then the friggin' Rattlesnake jumps right next to me and is like, all right, I'm going to use point blank alpha strike on you while you're in the air. And I was really hoping that I would explode and become the like shotgun of debris. But it didn't happen. My mech survived, but missed the DFA. And I just like just drop kicked myself onto the ground. Got bonked in the head again. Stayed conscious.
With 11, right? I think you were staying you did an 11 consciousness roll on that bad boy.
Stayed conscious. And then ejected the next turn using my full head ejection system, which the Shadowhawk 5D is installed with, thus ensuring my pilot's survival.
You utilized every piece and component of that mech. You're like, I will use this mech fully.
And then I had the Sentinel, and the Sentinel was firing its ammo to the last, charged the Panther and tried to kick it. And then I don't know, I just got friggin' bullied by the Panther and the Rattlesnake just jumping behind it and pushing it over, and I ejected out of that once I was out of ammo.
I did actually feel fear in this battle, I will say that.
Yeah, like, I never felt like I was like too far behind. It was always winnable, but yeah, I think I just got on my heels, didn't have a good strategy to deal with how fast that friggin' Rattlesnake was.
Yeah. And he's so fast, like running too. Like lots of times I didn't even jump. I just use a run because
You're like, I'm
he's
very
probably
hot.
the
I'm just
fastest on
gonna
the board.
sprint friggin' miles hide behind a hill. My mechs were fast, but they weren't that fast.
Yeah, totally. Man, the battle, it really evolved differently than I thought. Like initially, like I said, I wanted to get the rattlesnake in there and really use the panther as like a sniper, but how it evolved, it felt like I was doing anything I could to defend the panther. Like it's like I was so afraid of the panther getting outmaneuvered that I was constantly trying to position him because you guys were coming for him, and then trying to set up opportunities to like defend the panther because he was just taking fire, and you can't take a lot of fire, and you guys were really going for him. So, and I sort of felt that if the panther dropped, the rattlesnake would really lose its effectiveness. I mean, it still could jump behind, but then that would be so focused on that, and you could set up lines to defend your rear arc with both mechs.
Yeah, and that maybe would have been the, I guess sort of I went in with the like, these are fast moving mechs. I'm going for like a sort of, cavalry hit hard, getting close and mess up the enemy's strategy. But that's a bad strategy against you because that's always your strategy. And you did it better than me. So I should have just like, backed my mechs up, pretended they were heavies, and just like, covered my flanks, and slow rolled it a bit. But
another super annoying situation when you don't have, like, I mean, what was the jumps to the shadow? He'd jump it out of 5.
5, yeah. So it's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good for a mech, 5. It's not 7, but it's decent.
There was so obviously Panther's 464, and there's a little like pond or lake right in the middle, and there's situations where I'm sure most BattleTech players have gone into where you're like jumping back and forth between, like I'd be on one side of the pond and the other side of the pond when like they were trying to enclose around me, and I feel like there were moments where I regretted not pulling the Panther more north on the map because I just felt like I was playing too almost reactively to your attacks there. I wasn't like saying, okay, let's spend one round losing armor to get myself in a better position. But because I stayed there too long, like he was really being hunted. But it makes it super annoying for you to approach when I can just be like, one side leg, other side leg, one side leg, other side leg. But you kept on getting close enough because, traditional PPC, so often you'd be within my minimum range, which didn't actually necessarily play that negatively against me this time, because when you'd be within my minimum range, I'd be like, damn, my mech's hot. So then like, I would just be like, okay, I'll just cool down this round. I won't shoot. And then next round, I find a way to get it out of him. Like, okay, now I'll shoot. And then you'd be in my face again. The next round, I'm like, okay, I won't shoot this round. I'll cool down. It just sort of lined up well.
And so, sort of talking about impressions of the game, I think a lot of the like squirreliness of it came from the fact that we were playing fast. On the movement side, we were doing speed BattleTech, and the movement is really the most important part to decide like what your tactic is on any given round. It's mostly determined by what your movement is. And even between rounds, we weren't like sitting there and like, working things out a lot. We were, because it was each of us was by ourselves. There wasn't much like strategizing with teammates or anything. It was just like, okay, next round, let's go. We went after work and we're like, we got 2 or 3 hours to bang through a BattleTech match. Fastest BattleTech match we've ever played. It shows in our play. We didn't play optimally. Lots of mistakes, dropping your mech in the wrong place, being like, darn, if I should have gone into the forest instead of next to the forest, I shouldn't have jumped next to the one high building. You're kicking me in the head.
I remember there was one time where I didn't charge, and then after I moved, I was like, why didn't I charge? If I had 10 more seconds, my Nathan instincts would have activated and I would have done a suicidal charge attack, but I didn't have enough time. Dang. But I honestly, I find speed BattleTech, I find that fun because the biggest frustration I have in this game, and this isn't with Michael, but with other players, is how long it takes people to move. And I sort of felt that this is enough incentive. I think if you don't move, if you lose your movement and you're completely stationary, I think that's a little bit rough. But having the penalty of yeah, if you don't move, your target number gets halved.
Mhm.
And I know people could still game the system. Like they could jump, they have a target defensive modifier of 5, and they're like, well, I'll half it to 2 because this is the optimum position.
Yeah.
I think that's okay because you can only do it really once. And then if you did it again, you'd be doomed. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how it felt. It just felt more like real battle, less like chess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like it's definitely much like squirrelier, and it does make it feel really like breakneck paced. Yeah, I don't know. It was quite a different vibe. I'd be willing to try it. I feel like there's some interesting things you could do with the clock. Like you have 60 seconds in total for unit movement per round, and then you go back and forth, and so whatever you can maybe spend a little bit more at the beginning to get your strategy in play, and then you got to speed through the later movements or something. I feel like there's interesting things you could do.
Yeah, and that would change the feeling, right? Because if you're doing unit, it feels more like this is a force being commanded, but the way we do it, it's like individual MechWarriors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to be faster at calculating like attacks, because that was the part that was I'm not the fastest attack calculator. I don't have all the numbers like locked into my head, and I can't do that like matrix of gators that lots of experienced mech warriors can do. So I always found myself like going too slow. I hadn't played in months, and so that would like bog down the intensity.
It's never frustrating waiting for someone calculating their attack rolls. It's only frustrating when like I think when you get to someone's turn and they haven't thought about movement at all, and they literally spend like 5 minutes, and that adds up. It's like with speed BattleTech, you have to be already thinking in advance. And I think that's what good players say anyhow to speed it up. But adding that speed BattleTech consequence like really, really amps that up.
Yeah.
And to me made it fun. And because your opponent has the same constraints as you, it matters. And also, I think that it's almost like when you become a more experienced player and you get better at doing these things, like that's a huge boon for someone who's been playing a while. Is like, oh yeah, I can play speed BattleTech in 10 seconds because I'm so used to that. So it also is an incentive to get better and pay more attention to the game.
Yeah.
For even newer players, I would say.
Yeah, sort of on that. I will say it was like for one it was a game after work, so I'd already done like a day in the old IT mines, but it was like intense. it was tiring, like because we were pretty focused, like start to finish. We paused for getting ourselves some sugary drinks partway through, but other than that, we were just like playing. You were either figuring out your movement or calculating your attacks 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was only a few hours long, but it was tiring.
That bubble tea, man, it was so bad.
Nathan didn't like the bubble tea that we got.
I had like 4 sips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not finishing this. One thing, world, that I'm still fighting for myself to do is to not finish food if I don't like it. I don't know why this was instilled with me since I was a kid, but like finish what's on your plate. Like if you get something, you order a drink and I taste it and I'm like, man, this is way too sweet. I feel like because of sunken cost, I have to consume this thing. But like that was a moment of accomplishment where I'm like, I'm not finishing this bubble tea. I'm chucking it out. I had like 4 sips and I'm like, ugh, get out of here. I'll go get a sparkling water. God, it was sweet. Anyhow, that's my trauma of the game.
That's the real outcome to take from this match is watch your bubble tea. Make sure you know your bubble tea supplier when you are ordering.
But yeah, that was a fun game.
Yeah,
I want to do speed BattleTech again sometime.
I do it.
GG's, Michael.
GG's.
Handshake, virtual handshake.
Virtual handshake.
I'm really excited to talk about our mistakes we made, which we're about to talk about in our next segment.
This is Professor Michael presenting for INN Boots on the Ground, filling in for Nathaniel Smithson, who is currently traveling on the front lines of the clan invasion. Today I am reporting from Gorst City on planet Clovis, where a small AFFS patrol was completely destroyed by a pair of unknown mechs, which then retreated from the city without engaging any other garrison units. Local citizens have expressed concern about possible attack by clan forces, but at this time there is no evidence to suggest any involvement by periphery entities. Here in the park behind me you can see the remains of an AFFS Sentinel, both of its legs completely destroyed by what I'm told was extremely coordinated fire from the attackers. The mech tracks here on either side indicate that the attacking mechs, a Panther and a Jenner, landed on either side of the Sentinel, subjecting it to brutal, close-range crossfire. But as you can see by the angle of the laser burns, the attackers were careful to set clean firing zones to minimize the risk of damaging one another. Eyewitnesses also report the attackers striking very decisively, with the Jenner confidently jumping street to street, landing directly behind the significantly heavier Shadowhawk anytime the units were not covering one another. A brave civilian reporter captured this image of one such alpha strike by the Jenner, and while the quality is significantly degraded by laser scattering, we can make out at least 6 melt pools from beam laser impacts and no smoke trails from SRM fire. This does not match any documented Jenner variants, but is aligned with the rumored Rattlesnake upgrade package developed by the Federated Commonwealth. Unfortunately, the civilian reporter was unable to capture any further images, as moments later they were immolated by either the jump jets or simply the radiant heat of a cooking Jenner. We also received this trio from a nearby apartment block, which shows the attacking Panther stationed in the park, seeming to track a target moving behind the apartments. This suggests a C3 network was deployed in the area to coordinate the strike, and means the possibility of this being a random attack by pirates or mercenaries next to nil. Clovis officials have blamed the Draconis Combine for the attack. When asked about the possibility of reclaiming Clovis, the Bureau of Hospitality Towards New Lands responded that there were no plans to resume re-expansion activities in the March while defensive actions against clan units are ongoing. At this point, the skirmish seems likely to be either some sort of personal grudge or perhaps a trial of new units or tactics for a larger force. Either way, these targets stood no chance. This has been Professor Michael, and now you know about Boots on the Ground.
Secondary objective, rule check discovery segment. Initiating.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our Rule Check Discovery segment. Well, Michael and I tracked with diligence. Semi-diligence. The type
After
of
the
rule
match,
mistakes.
Nathan's like, what mistakes did we make?
Yeah, exactly. That's, at least it was fresh after the match.
Yeah.
What rule mistakes did we make, and did it matter? And we both made different ones.
We're being a little bit
Michael.
loose as well with the definition of mistakes here. They're not necessarily, some of them are just like, misconceptions or things that we weren't like sure about, and like, just anything a little bit dodgy.
Yeah. So let's do the first one, which is I think this one was you, Michael.
Oh, the movement miscalculation. Yeah, that was just inexperience, not playing enough BattleTech lately, and so I kept confusing like the movement speeds of my two different mechs and using the wrong one. My Sentinel ended up limping along at like I think two movement speeds slower than it was supposed to for a good chunk of a match. Like it was, yeah, I don't know. I guess this probably would have been better if I had printed sheets instead of digital sheets that was like tabbing back and forth.
You're flipping back and forth.
And yeah, I don't own a printer.
You can just get me to print them off next time.
Yeah, I will. But then you'll know my stratagems, and
I'll print them off without looking. I'm really good at that.
Yeah,
like
blindfold yourself as you print them. So I don't know. That's just that's inexperience, and it didn't really like have a big effect on the game or anything. But yeah, I don't know. A bungle.
Well, I don't know. Like if you moved 2 rounds of taking 2 movement from your Sentinels, pretty bad. I mean, that's not a rule mistake. That's just a gameplay mistake. But I mean, One of the good things about Sentinel, it's a little bit speedy. Take that away. I don't know what else is really good about it. We also messed up the weight class modifier for now I'm remembering this too. I'm pretty sure for your he's a medium. No, we didn't do it for that. For physical attacks.
Yeah.
In advanced rules, basically, if you're a light, you get a -2 on your physical attack modifiers. If you're a medium, you get a -1. So basically, it becomes easier for you to punch and kick, and we forget those. I always forget weight class modifiers, but it's a rule I like. We did that
But you
equally.
don't like it enough to remember it.
Yes, that's true. And so there was an instance in which I missed a kick, and I fell, didn't I? Did I miss a kick and fall with my Rattler or Rattlesnake?
I don't know.
I thought I did at the beginning.
Remember you, but it could have been.
And I think that miss wouldn't have happened with the modifier, but I mean, it was just one mistake. And then we both did it equally throughout the battle. So it was like net neutral impact on the game mode. I'd say.
We pretty much just played without the advanced rule, which is a bungle in our books.
Or a betrayal, perhaps. You betrayed the advanced rules. The foot ammo explosion, this is a misconception, wouldn't have mattered. Oh, no, it would have mattered.
I think we corrected it right away.
Right away,
Like I didn't do anything else before you're like, hey, is your whole leg gone? I was like, yeah, man, you blew up. I took a critical to my ammo bin. It was cased off, so I lost the right torso and the the left torso and the left arm and the left leg, because the left leg connects to the left torso. No, you fool, you absolute buffoon. You bungler.
Yeah, I got angry. I flipped the table. We had to reset. It took us like an hour to get back into the game.
Yep.
I was all red-faced.
Then I put my leg back on. I was like, actually, life doesn't suck. Because having no rack, no SRMs, and no leg would have been like
not a good
awful.
time.
I wouldn't have been able to do my death from above. Which I also failed.
Which was indeed scary.
So yeah, that was misconception, again, mostly from my inexperience, but thankfully Nathan caught it, and yeah, I don't know, it's just the leg bone connects to the left torso bone, I thought, but no, I guess it connects to the center torso bone. I'm looking at the damage transfer diagram right now. Goes into the left torso.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, left torso, obviously. Sorry, yeah, but left torso doesn't go down to left leg. Oh, but wait a minute.
Correct. But
that's
the arm
weird.
and the leg are both attached to the left torso. So doesn't it make sense that then when the torso goes, the leg would go? But I guess that would be even more punishing to an already like catastrophically bad failure of mech.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. That's that. Because I feel like that could be a common misconception, actually, that mistake. Is that, well, okay, my entire left side's gone, so my left leg's gone as well.
Or maybe everyone runs XL engines now, so it doesn't matter.
Whoa, that's weird. That's a weird one. And yeah, both your mechs were zombies, right?
So
and it
I
didn't
think
have any engines in the torsos, though, right? For both of them?
Correct. They both had regular old engines. No XLs here.
Cool.
So yeah, that was a good thing to remember.
Yeah, wow. The next question we had is there's an instance in which I think, was it your Shadowhawk where both your legs blew? No, your Sentinel, both legs blew up in the same round?
Last round before ejecting, out of ammo, tried to kick the Panther, had both of my legs exploded in the same weapon attack phase. And so it was just a mech. It was just a torso.
And that's what we were wondering. We were wondering what happens to the pilot, because technically, by the rules we're playing, so auto eject would be off. So the mech is destroyed. The torso drops to the ground. Will you take one pilot hit or will you take two pilot hits?
Oh, yeah. That was the...
Because you can't PSR.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. But we were like, interesting.
It didn't matter. So I just...
Should we check the rules? Who cares?
Yeah.
Keep playing.
That was right at the end of the match. We were tired. It was time to go home. What was the Sentinel going to do? S laser
right.
you.
Okay, now here's the mistake I remember, another mistake I made. And I think, and I don't actually know if I made this, but I do make this mistake a lot. At least in my head, I make this mistake. And then whenever I check the rules, I remember. But this time I decided not to check the rules, and I think I may have made the mistake. But I use this advanced rule called careful aim. And basically what it is rather than shoot that turn or do anything, you focus on your opponent and you get a -1 target number modifier on your attacks against them next round, as long as you don't lose line of sight to them. And I forgot that you're not allowed to move. And like because I always remembered in my head as, okay, you can't shoot, but you can still like move and keep your focus on them, because the other way, as the rule is currently written, it's so boring. It's like it's just such a bad rule. Like you literally can only it's literally only for a sniper that's sitting there in the distance, waiting, or a heavy that can just sit there standing, taking hits. I think it'd be much more interesting if they changed this rule so that you could move while doing it, but perhaps it required a PSR to not lose the aim. So it's
or
like,
just
okay,
cap it. You know, you can only carry over one careful aim when you move or something. Like you lose everything back down to 1.
Yeah, because that would just make it actually functional and useful. And it's actually good when like there's someone who's really zippy and annoying that's getting your rear arc or whatever. That's a good like counter to them, because eventually it gives you the chance to really either get a good chance at shooting them, and even if they know that's coming, so then they run away, gives you a chance to reset and get space from them. So I think it is a good little tool. But the thing is, I don't actually remember. So I used it once to get a -1, and I don't remember if I moved in between or not. So there's a chance I made the mistake. But if I did make the mistake, it would have changed a direct blow to a glancing blow. And that would have been a difference between 5 damage. And I believe that 5 damage was actually important to get an internal critical.
But if I recall correctly, that was the Panther shooting the Sentinel. The Sentinel's already running on empty. So like, you know, it's not like you didn't cheat your way to victory. But yeah, we do need to be a little mindful of that.
Exactly.
I had like a slightly funny feeling when that was happening, but I was so engrossed in like, where was I going to move my mechs in the next 6 seconds that, you know, didn't really think anything of it.
My moment was I felt so proud that I remembered to use that rule, because I always forget it. And then after the game, I'm like, damn, did I use it right? I'm like,
Yeah, because
but
there is that thing about like you can use it after moving, but you drop the bonus when you move. So basically you can move and then gain the bonus in the next attack phase, but then you have to not move on the next round in order to keep the bonus into the weapon attack phase. So it's just a little bit weird. Yeah,
anyhow,
very situational.
Not game changing, but I would encourage Catalyst to change that rule to make it more interesting. Because at the end of the day, if the rule itself isn't interesting or fun, like I understand why that rule was developed. It was literally for a sniper lining up a shot, lining on a hill, landing on a hill. But like it's so niche and so rare and just doesn't have functionality. It's not fun. Because even in that situation, it's like, okay, I have a sniper on this mountain here. Okay, he attacks once every 3 rounds. Like that's the outcome of that game. So he just does nothing until every 3 rounds where he gets a good shot on you.
And you can only fire one weapon with it, right?
No, that's braced shot. You can only fire one weapon.
I'm confusing my... I'm bungling even in the episode about our bungles.
Braced shot is an actual useful advanced rule. It's much more applicable than careful aim.
Because you take the penalty of can only shoot one weapon, can only do it in specific circumstances, but gives you a bonus. Whereas this one, you are penalized with like can't move, and the bonus is quite minor, very visible that it's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, I understand why you made the mistake, but don't do it again, or I'm stripping you of your victory title.
Life is hard.
The life is hard when you're a bungler who hasn't played BattleTech in months.
So that means that from this game, let me see. So in terms of true mistakes, yeah, I guess there would have been, we caught everything, but really foot on ammo explosion being blown up. Let's assume careful aim is a mistake. So that's 2. And then the weight class was a mistake, but only because we decided not to apply the rule, but we just essentially forgot it. So really it was like 3 sort of errors in application and 2 actual mistakes. And this is the average BungleTech game.
Honestly, it was a pretty smooth BungleTech game.
It was. It was smooth. Yeah. Wow. We're so good. We're so good. Only 5 issues, guys. Only 5 issues. I wish more players actually track this. It's the instinct to think you've done something right unless you're reflective and really think back. So I'm curious to see what people's numbers would be. I think that, and I think with individual podcasts, each play games and do the tracking after the fact. And then we can see who truly, and whoever has the highest rating gets to take the BungleTech podcast name. And then it's like an earned title that rotates across the world. They just get the podcast. That's a good idea.
You're confident in our bungling abilities.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Me too.
Because I think it takes some, it takes a certain level of bravery, Michael, to admit your own mistakes. Yeah, and truly, BungleTech is the bravest podcast in the world.
Yeah, we're out here just saying that I forgot how to move my mech. I forgot how many squares I could move.
Yes. Well, anyhow, that was fun. Yeah, that was fun.
It was good. We played a game. We talked about a game. I lost to Nathan once more. Initiative cards are wacky. Rules are hard.
And with that, listener, thank you for listening. Until the next episode.
Bye.
And that, my friends, brings us to an end of another deployment of BungleTech. As always, you can find us via Discord, email, and Patreon, all linked in the show description. Until next time, MechWarriors, good fortunes on the battlefield. Selah.
All podcast objectives complete. Podcast shutdown sequence initiated.